It was mimetic after all. This all began with Dr. Vang being booted out of the Foundation. I started working with Vang 5 years after I got my bachelor's and getting recruited because of my cum laude and all that. He was a charming guy. Humorous, but never losing his cool. He works really hard. Stayed that way till 10, 20 years ago. He claimed he was under the effect of a stone in his desk. A stone that caused people to lose interest in work, to lose willpower for innovation. A procrastination rock. Maggie and I thought it was a joke. It wasn't the first time he did this. We didn't conduct any research on it, of course. And after all, how can you research a non-existent joke? So the joke was forgotten, just like the stone itself, after a few days. I wouldn't remember it till many years later. Dr. Vang started to make mistakes he never made. A misplaced book here, an overturned beaker there. It was all explained away with a wave of a hand. He was an old man, after all. Then came the rushed reports, the missed meetings, and the lack of work done. His powers were taken, positions downgraded, but no one asked what was the reason. I tried not to let him get fired. He was my mentor, and I respected researchers I'd first known him. Even with my hard work, I couldn't convince the O5 to let him stay. He didn't even bother to pack his office. He just left it alone with a note on the door saying, "For the next guy." His stuff got passed around the Foundation. Don't know where most of it went, but I know the O5 would be looking over all the things he left, just like what they did with Dr. Gans when he died. I visited Vang from time to time. I remain working for the Foundation to this day, but my heart just wasn't in it after he left. A new researcher, while digging through Vang's stuff, found the long-forgotten stone. It is technically an SCP, not any object, class, or number, though. The incompetent researcher didn't find any anomalous properties, and so just threw it away, and the Foundation moved on to more important stuff. Who cares about a little stone with a 4-line report? So, we toss it aside, along with the rest of our garbage. But then, small problems started to pop up. A delivery that was supposed to arrive in a week took half a month to decrease flights. An episode of a show was delayed months because of a lack of personnel. A highway that was planned to be built in 6 months dragged on into several years. No one really noticed. It was all within normal. I mean, what human doesn't make mistakes? We are fallible after all, and they're not really huge problems. A couple years before my retirement, I learned that the Foundation recovered the original stone, along with several hundred identical stones from a secretive extremist group akin to the Chaos Insurgency. The group got their hands on it after the botched disposal, and they found the cause of the stone's properties and mass-produced the stuff. So they sold it to several other activist groups, who started secretly planting the stones into UN assemblies, G20 meetings, every conference for major organizations from APEC to NATO. Stealth planes flew over municipals, sprinkling cities with a thin layer of ground-up procrastination in the dead of night, in an attempt to weaken the major world players and bring down democracy. But the world still went on, day by day, and humanity held itself together. The leaders continue to maintain peace with the extremists, and the ones who once believed that it can bring them victory were disappointed once again. There were no immediate effects, and the extremists soon turned to other means of bringing down their enemies. But the shadow of the stone lingered, seeping into the lives of everybody, an effect that no one foresaw. People all around complain about the general slag, but we're just too apathetic to stand up for it. There's always someone else to blame, some other time to do it, something more important to do. Bills took years to pass, buildings took decades to build, and yet no one seemed to care enough to fix it. Activist groups fell apart due to lack of interest. Labor unions dissolved because no one had the will to fight for rights. Members of parliament bodies were still elected, sure, but there were no bills to pass, no issue to debate, no conflict to resolve. Wars ended because the soldiers on both sides had lost the passion and patriotism that brought them there in the first place. The O5 Council tried to prevent the spread of this phenomenon, start a recovery, to let humanity stand back on its feet. But no matter how hard they tried, the agents and researchers simply dragged the missions on for years. We didn't die out. We just simply lost our will to improve. Everyone just didn't care, I guess. Life was good. Why change? There's always later.